In July 2019, I looked like this, and fast forward 8 months, I looked like this. And in this video, I'm going to show you step by step exactly how I did it, and whether or not you should do it as well. There is a common misconception in the fitness industry that you can lose fat and build muscle at the exact same time, and it's absolutely perfect for everyone to do it. But I am sorry to burst your bubble, but it is not for absolutely everyone. It is going to be for a certain person, and I'm going to break down if it could be a good fit for you. So starting off, I'm going to be 100% honest. I do not think that shooting for 2 goals at once is going to be a very good thing at all, because you end up just spinning around in circles. In my opinion, you should be picking one goal, whether it's to build muscle or lose fat. If you do the plan right, if you pick the right option, then you can do both at the exact same time, but you're not actually shooting for both at the exact same time. That isn't the goal. Think of it like this. Let's just say you've got 2 dartboards in front of you, but you've got 1 dart. One of them is build muscle and the other one is lose fat. You've got 1 dart. You're not going to be able to throw them at both the dartboards, so you have to pick one and shoot for one to shoot for first. And it is very easy to determine which one you should do. If you're someone that's skinny, just needs to build up, bulk up overall and just build overall size, then you shoot for a bulk. You shoot for a small surplus and you build your way up to muscle growth, because you've got a little bit of body fat, but it isn't something that needs to be lost straight away because you haven't actually built the foundation of muscle in the first place. And also, if you've been training for a few years, you're not really seeing progress, your lifts aren't really going up, you're not seeing massive progress in terms of muscle growth, then again, a bulk's probably going to be better for you, building up the calories and just building some muscle, because you aren't going to benefit from this. But if you are someone that is a little bit skinny fat, you've got a little bit of fat to lose and you haven't really got a lot of muscle, then this is going to be perfect for you, especially if you're in your first 1 to 2 years of lifting, or you spent time away from the gym and you're actually coming back to the gym. This is going to be perfect for you. So first of all, I'm going to run through some of the training mistakes that people kind of make and how I would set up my training. And do not get me wrong, I am no saint that has never got anything wrong, because I made a lot of these mistakes in the first place. The first one is going to be inconsistency. So many people have the motivation to start off, get into the gym, they've got the motivation, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but they end up going for 2 weeks and then it completely falling off. You're not going to build a massive amount of muscle if you're inconsistently going to the gym. Sometimes you're really, really good and sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're in there 4 days a week, sometimes you're in there 2 days a week. It's just not going to work. That is not the way muscle building works. The next one is not training hard enough. I guarantee if you went into a gym, a commercial gym, you would go in, look at someone, come back in 6 months later, and the chances are most people look the exact same. I've been going to gyms where I see people and I've seen them a year later and they haven't changed. But what is the reason for that? Because they're being consistent. They're going to the gym, they're turning up. Surely they should be seeing results of that. Unfortunately, that isn't the way that it kind of works. They are most likely not training hard enough. You could have the most perfect plan in the entire world. I could send all these people programs and they could follow my program. Some people are going to see results, but some people aren't going to see results. Is that a reflection on the program? Not really. It's more of a reflection of how intensely people are taking their sets. You need to be training 1 to 2 reps off complete failure on every single set. That is very, very hard to do, especially at the beginning, because you don't know how far failure is. So I just say go to failure on most sets, and then you kind of get a gauge on what it is actually like to train till failure. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be a bit of discomfort. That is unfortunately how the gym works. You've got to be uncomfortable. You've got to strive for discomfort, because that's where growth really is. And the other one is not actually having a program. Yes, you can get away with just going in and training hard and you're going to get unbelievable results. If you don't go in a program, you just go in and just pick something and then just train hard, you are going to see results. If you have a program, then you know exactly where you're going right and you know exactly where you're going wrong. If you're not seeing progress, if you're not seeing muscle growth where you want to see it, you just take one look at your program, you can go, oh, that is the reason why. It gives you the kind of blueprint on exactly what you're going to do and what you're actually emphasizing. And this is the same with tracking your lifts. So many people have it all sorted. They go to the gym, they train hard, they have the program, but they don't track what they do. And so many people will say, oh, but I know what I lifted last week. I guarantee you don't even know what you had for breakfast last week, never mind what you did in the gym last week. I would start tracking my lifts. The first thing I would do is turn it into a game. It can be quite boring tracking your lifts. It can be quite boring constantly kind of noting things down. But if you turn it into a game, gamify it, it makes it interesting. That means you're going into the gym. You've got a number there that you need to go in and beat. And the level of motivation, the level of drive you get when you beat that rep, when you get a PR, when you get a PB, is one of the best feelings in the entire world, and it is going to mean you're not going to leave results down to chance, and you'll actually be surprised on how little you actually have to do. So many people think they have to do 5, 6 days a week in the gym, but that is not true at all. You can go to the gym 2, 3, 4 times a week, basically depending on your availability. Pick a split that you can commit to. Follow a split for at least 3 to 4 months and do not change it. Train harder than last time. Every time you go into the gym, the next time you go in, do an extra rep, add a little bit of weight on top, and you want to track every single lift and turn it into a game. Now moving on to more of the diet mistakes that people make. And again, I have made a lot of mistakes when it comes to diet. That's why I can kind of give advice on this. The first mistake that people make, and I made myself, was dropping the calories too low too quick. What this then does is, yes, you'll see massive progression straight off the bat. You'll see a lot of weight loss. The scale is going to go down a lot. That isn't always a good thing, because if you set your calories too low, then you haven't got any wiggle room to go off, and your body is then going to adapt to that. So if you just go straight to 1800, yes, you might drop 5 kilos in the space of 2 weeks, but after that 2 weeks, your body's going to adapt to eating that many calories, and you're going to have to do more cardio, more steps, or even drop the food even more to start seeing more progress. And to build muscle, your body actually needs the calories. So if you're not giving your body enough calories, it's not going to give your muscles a reason to grow, because you're going to have lower energies, because you're not going to be able to have as many calories going into the gym and not have as much energy, because you are already restricting yourself quite a lot. So effectively, you want the highest effective dose. You want the highest amount of food to lose weight, and then when progress stalls, you can then drop the calories even more and do it a lot more steadily. The next thing is not eating enough protein. I think everyone knows by now how important protein is. It's important for muscle growth, obviously, and it's also important for fat loss as well, as it's the most satiating macronutrient, and your body actually burns more calories digesting protein than it does with carbs and fats. And the way you want to set your calories is either 2 ways. Type into Google Harris Benedict calculator, type in all of the information, and then that will spit you out a guesstimated number. That is your estimated maintenance calories. What you want to do is take off 200 to 300 calories off that number, eat like that for a week, and then take your average weight. And then you can make a decision on if you are losing weight, then you can keep on going. If you didn't, then you can drop the calories again by 1 to 200, and then repeat the process for the next week. The next one is dropping fats way too low. Fats are very, very important. I know they're higher in calories, and that's the first thing people are going to say, oh, but they're double the amount of calories in fats than there is in carbs. But you need fats. If you drop fats too low, you'll do exactly what I did. Downregulate your hormones, and you'll end up, yes, getting progress in the short term, but in the long term, you are going to have a lot of issues, as I found out myself when I did exactly that, eating 20 to 30 grams of fats every single day. I wasn't actually regulating my hormones, and I ended up really screwing myself over. I'd be aiming for at least 40 to 50 grams of fat every single day. And finally, people have focused too much on the calories. They're focused on too much on what calories and things, and they've filled their diet full of processed foods. And that's not just what people call unhealthy foods. That's like using the likes of protein powder, using the likes of artificial sweeteners. These things are not great for you. Yes, in the short term, they're going to be very, very good, and they're better than the alternative. If you are someone that is drinking a lot of sugar, if you are someone that is eating highly processed foods, then they are a good swap in the short term. But in the long term, they are going to do more harm than they are good. Obviously, single ingredient foods are always going to be king, and I would base 90% of my diet around that. Not saying the likes of protein powder, the likes of diet drinks aren't going to be helpful. They are going to be helpful. They aren't something that should be relied upon. You shouldn't be doing 2 to 3 scoops of protein per day. I think getting your protein through whole foods is going to be so much better, so much more filling. You're going to get so much better results because there's more micronutrients in the food. I think everyone should be shifting towards what nutrients they're getting in the foods, what vitamins, what minerals are you getting from the foods that you are eating. And this moves me on to meal timing. Meal timing isn't the one thing you'd focus on straight off the bat. If you are someone that is new into the gym or someone that isn't really seeing much progress, meal timing is kind of secondary. That's why I put this after all the most important ones first. I would focus on them first things first and then move on to the likes of meal timing. But some of the simple rules that I will follow when it comes to meal timing is 3 evenly split meals throughout the day, all of them containing 40 to 50 grams of protein. So you get an even split of protein throughout the day to create that muscle protein synthesis. And when it comes to carbs and fats, you can sprinkle in fats all throughout the day. I wouldn't be having too many fats pre or post training. That's where I'd have most of my carbs. So I'd prioritize my carbs pre and post training. I'll actually run you through an example on what I would do when it comes to pre-workout meal, pre-workout snack, and a post-workout meal as well. So a pre-workout meal you want to eat around 2 to 3 hours before you train. That would be something that's slower digesting. The likes of your sourdough bread, the likes of your sweet potato. I'd pair that with a protein, so eggs and sourdough is a great combo in the morning if you're training in the morning. And then before you go to the gym, you're looking for something that's going to digest really, really quickly. Think a lot of sugar, not processed kind of sugar. Think fruit. Dates, raw honey is an absolute staple for me. I call it the pump primer. Fills your body full of glycogen, fills your body full of carbs to give you energy for high intensity training. Then after you train, you want a mix of the both. You want slow digesting and you also want quick digesting. I would do beef mince, sweet potato, and I'm adding kiwi in there as well. And with the kiwi, you're eating the kiwi with the skin on. If you're not, then we have problems here. We have a lot of issues. And then we're moving on to recovery and sleep. This is so important, very, very overlooked by everyone. Recovery is going to be absolutely everything. You do not want to be training 5-6 days a week because you actually build the muscle outside of the gym. You actually build the muscle when you're asleep. So focusing on your sleep is going to be very, very important. This is where a lot of people will neglect it. There is this massive hustle culture out there that you're not supposed to sleep. You're supposed to be up grinding. Well, if you want to drive yourself into an early grave, then that's exactly what I would do because your health is going to completely deteriorate if you don't focus on your sleep and your recovery. You can do all the training, you can do all the eating you want, but it's going to be the sleep puts the glue all together. So you want to be aiming for 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. I've got so many videos on sleep, so you can go and watch them, and I talk about it a lot. But some of the things that I would focus on is circadian rhythm. Get yourself out in the morning, get yourself outside. That resets your circadian rhythm to then raise your melatonin, so then lowers later on in the day. Cut caffeine 8 to 10 hours before you go to bed. An hour before you go to bed, cut your phone, reduce blue light, get blue light blockers on. And I'd also have my last meal 2 to 3 hours before going to bed, so your body's not actually digesting any of the food as you are supposed to be sleeping. And then finally, you want to be in a dark room, whether it's blackout blinds or an eye mask that you buy from Amazon that's about a tenner. They are some of the small things that you can do to improve your sleep and maximize your sleep and sleep like a baby. If you want a full guide on exactly how to do that, then click the link in the bio and you can see my free guide on exactly how to do that. So to put it all together, if you are someone that does have a little bit of body fat, not a lot of muscle, then you want to start off with a small deficit around 200 to 300 calories, aiming for 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein, split across 3 even meals throughout the day, and maybe 1 snack. You want to follow a program that fits your lifestyle, you want to track your lifts, and you also want to train hard. You also want to go out and do your steps, 10 to 15k steps every single day, keeps you burning calories throughout the day. It's lower impact, so it's not going to have as much stress on the body. And if you nail all the other things, then doing steps is going to turn you into a fat burning machine. And finally, onto the food. You want to focus on single ingredient foods 90% of the time. And if your progress is stalling, if you're not losing 0.6 to 0.8 kilos per week, then you can either do one of 2 things. You want to add 2k steps to what you're currently doing, or you want to drop the calories by 1 to 200 and repeat that process for around 7 to 8 weeks. Now, I do want to run through some of the things you probably should expect when it comes to body recomposition, and that is the pace of results are going to be a lot slower, and that's when you're looking at the scale, because when you're looking at the scale as a rate of progress, it's not going to go down as much as you think, mainly because if you're losing fat and building muscle, the weight isn't going to move as much because you're building the muscle and losing the fat, so it's going to kind of even itself out. You are going to lose fat a little bit quicker than you are going to build muscle, so the scale should be going down, but you can look completely unrecognizable, only losing 2 kilos in body weight, having a lot more size and a lot less body fat. So that's why you want to look at taking progress pictures every single week. Then you can look back and see if you're actually making progress, even if the scale says that it isn't really going down too much. And you also want to look at your progress in the gym. If you are gaining strength in the gym, your lifts are going up, you're getting stronger, then the chances are you are going to be putting on muscle. So you're doing everything right there. But yes, hopefully you found that video very, very useful. And if you are new, click like, click subscribe. It really, really helps push this video out to as many people as possible. And I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.